Hello, and welcome to episode number 284 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be the first SmackDown after SummerSlam, you know. Been a while since Raw. Been busy with work and shit, but oh well, time to do SmackDown today. And we've got a lot of shit going on here, you know. We're going to hear from the new SmackDown Women's Champion, Kairi Sane. We're going to hear from the new first ever Liberty Champion, Shotzi Blackheart. We're going to hear from the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, the still WWE Champion. And who knows, we may even hear from that son of a bitch, Seth Rollins. And we're also going to have Velocity after this with our first new Cruiserweight Champion, Rey Mysterio. Big show tonight. And I guess without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. Oh no, wait, one last thing is that SmackDown, right? Raw is building towards Unforgiven, which is the September Week 3 pay-per-view. But that is a Raw branded show. So SmackDown aren't going to have a pay-per-view until the second week in October, when I do Clash at the Castle. And yeah, so just a heads up, SmackDown shit, we're going to be in for a long ride on this road to the Cardiff on the second week of October. Without any further ado, let's jump straight into the show. We get a cold open for SmackDown. A limo, or whatever he drives, a limo, I guess. Have they even actually ever shown what car Roman and the Bloodline or that drive in real life? But whatever the Tribal Chief drives, he pulls up to SmackDown. He doesn't even thank him, he doesn't even thank the driver, he just gets out, slams the door behind him, pulls out his title, puts it on his shoulder, and swaggers into the building. Or goes to swagger into the building even. And then Heyman interrupts him as he gets, he's like, shaking all nervous. He's like, my Tribal Chief. He's like, wise man, you know, SummerSlam was a great success, you know, I smashed Cody, I proved that I'm still the greatest WWE champion of all time. And poor Heyman's like, about that, my Tribal Chief, we need you to come quickly. There's been a bit of a situation back here. And I was like, what situation? On my show? Without me? Nah, take me to the situation. And then Roman and Heyman walk off together into the arena. And then we cut to the ring, where there's some big announcer guy. He's like, Yarg! Welcome to SmackDown, me hearties. And allow me to be the one to introduce you to the new SmackDown Women's Champion. The Pirate Queen, Queen of the Seas, Kairi Sane. And she comes out, she's got a treasure chest with her, and we get the suspenseful moment. She pulls the treasure chest out, and she goes to open it, and the crowd's like, oh. She opens it up, and there's the title in there. Big pop. And she comes to the ring, and she's like, yeah, I'm happy to win the title. Crowd's like, you deserve it, Kairi. And she takes the microphone, she's like, at SummerSlam, I became the SmackDown Women's Champion. And now I'm the champion. I need to make sure then Toxic Attractions theme hits to a big boo. And Mandy's like, I don't mean to cut you off, Kairi. I mean, I do, but, you know, you're out here to celebrate, you're all alone. It must suck being all alone, you know, you spent 2 years as Io Shirai's sidekick, and now you're finally able to step out of the shadows of her and be your own woman, and that's so great. I'm so proud of you, girl. Like, it's awesome, but, you know, you're gonna have to put that title. It's one thing to hold that championship, it's one thing to win that championship, it's another thing to keep hold of it, and there are a lot of women back there, Kairi, including me, JC, and Gigi here, who feel we're owed a shot at that championship. And Kairi's like, you want to fight me? Get in here right now. I'm not backing down, I'm a fighting champion. And I was like, oh, no, honey, you see, you don't understand. I know Io's head is a little bit cuckoo right now because of us, but do you not remember what happened? The reason why you got this big break is because of me. Because we put Io Shirai out, and that gave you the opportunity to step out of her shadow, Kairi. I'll accept my thank you card in the mail. Or, better yet, you know, since you're so brave and such a fighting champion, you call it bravery and fighting, I call it stupidity. You know, you saw your own best friend, but we may never even see her again in this company because of us. Yet here you are, alone, wanting to fight us off. So maybe I'll have to go in there and take my thank you reward by taking your title. Girls, get her. And Gigi and JC step up on the apron. They go to circle Kairi. And they begin 3-on-1 assaulting. Utami runs out from the back to try and even the odds. He takes out JC and Gigi. But in the end, of course, there is an out-of-numbers game still. And Shida's on Raw. So, the third person who would normally be out here to help is not really around right now. Out comes Asuka. She runs. Mandy probably sends JC up the ramp to meet her. JC charges at her. Asuka does that thing where she lifts her up into the air and hits her on the knee on the way down. JC goes down. Asuka gets into the ring, twats Mandy with a back fist, or Gigi even, and then Mandy's alone with the three, and she sort of scoots away. Then Adam Pearce is like, well, Mandy, if you want to fight, well, I guess there's 3 people wanting a fight in that ring right now. So how about we do this? It is official 6-woman tag team match. Toxic Attraction against Kairi Sane, Utami Hayashishita, and the newest member of SmackDown's women's division, Asuka. And yeah, Asuka for Sasha seemed like a fine, that was the switch I did mentally. That seemed like they'd both done everything on their respective brands and need a fresh environment. So I was like, yeah, just swap them over. That seems fun. So Asuka now on SmackDown, and she got an injury. I need to stop. Maybe I'm never booking a Joshi in the ring with Toxic Attraction ever again. A bicep rip sounds kind of painful. I'm not sure. Probably not as long as a tear. So I think she won't actually be out for that long at all. It's just the word rip makes it sound horrid. But actually thinking about it, rip probably worse than or not as bad as a tear. So she probably won't be out for that long, if at all. But yes, they don't call an audible this time. Kairi pins Gigi with the insane elbow. Asuka gets an 87, a 76 for Utami, an 89 for Kairi, a 52 for JC, a 60 for Gigi, and a 62 for Mandy. And yes, Kairi Sane celebrates with her title when we cut to the back, and Bayley's there watching it on screen, just shaking her head. Also, I forgot to mention before we cut to the back, a scene of, Asuka and Kairi, shaking each other's hands, and Asuka being, very clear, I was the Raw Women's Champion, I deserve a rematch for a title, and since I'm on this show, just, glaring at Kairi's belt. But then we cut to Bayley, and she's shaking her head, disapproving at Asuka's claim of the title. And she's like, oh, get over here! He's like, where are you? Get over here. It's like, oh, this fucking girl. And then Cora, sheepishly walks up and she's like, what do you want? She's like, go and take care of this. Cora says, take care of what, Bayley? I don't know what you mean. And Bayley, grabs her by the collar and says, take care of the situation before it gets out of hand. Shoves her against the wall. And Cora's like, okay, Bayley, okay. And, slowly backs away. And Bayley just turns her attention back to the screen, watching Asuka and Kairi celebrate. We then cut to the back. Adam Pearce, and he's approached by the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions DIY and Candice LeRae. And Pearce congratulations, Johnny Ciampa. It's a great thing for you to be here. When I brought Ciampa to SmackDown, I was kind of hoping to make you two patch it up because you're one of my favourite tag teams of all time to watch. And Johnny goes, me and Tommaso, our friends go through their rough patch, and I still don't that shit between us. I haven't forgotten about it all. I'm still weary of him, and he's weary of me. It's just we know that together we are an unstoppable tag team, and we are one of the greatest tag teams to ever do it in WWE. And we're here to put that to the test because Kairi said she wants to be a fighting champion, but so do we. So here's the idea, Pierce. Tonight there's going to be a fatal 4-way between 4 of SmackDown's top tag teams. And the winner of that match will face us next week for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And Pierce I love it. What teams do you have in mind? And Gargano goes, well, I need to try and think of the teams off the top of my head here. Hit Row, who are now moving over from Raw. The team of Oney Lorcan and Drew Gulak. Gulak moving over from Raw as well. After their impressive victory on the SummerSlam kickoff as well, the Limit Breakers combo of Braun Breaker and Keith Lee. And who's the other fucking tag team? I don't think it's anybody that got drafted over. It might be the House of Black. It might be Mark Andrews and Flash Webster. We'll say them until I'm proven wrong later on. But yeah. And Pierce like, great, that sounds awesome. We'll get it booked. Who's ready for story time of Adam Cole, baby? So SummerSlam didn't go, the way I planned. Because I thought I was going to be the SmackDown Tag Team Champions with my best friend Kevin Owens. But then, I had to find a last-minute substitution. And it turns out the last-minute substitution was Elias. But it wasn't Elias, it was Ezekiel. They're the same guy, but he claims to be his younger brother. So, I know that guy, he's still with that House of Black. So, obviously I couldn't trust him. And that's why we're not standing here today as the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. But no matter, I'm calling you out, Ezekiel, Elias, whoever you want to show up as today. Come on and step into the ring of Adam Cole, baby, one-on-one. And then unfamiliar music hits. And out comes not Ezekiel, not Elias, but their older brother Elrod. And he's like, Good evening, Mr. Cole. And Adam Cole's like, what is this? Like, take off the fake mustache. He tries to rip the mustache off, but it's like, it does that thing where like it's a real mustache apparently, and he tries to rip it and he can't rip it off. I don't know how I'd work that out because, it is a fake. But that would be the bit, is that he tries to rip it off, but he can't because, it's a real. Because I'm not Ezekiel, I'm not even Elias, I'm their even older brother, Elrod. And Adam Cole's going, you've got to be kidding me right now. You're not. You are the same guy, you're all the same person, and I'm going to beat that sense into you. I don't care if you want to come out. I said, I don't care if you're Elias or Ezekiel, I certainly don't care if you're Elrod. We need you one-on-one right now. So Adam Cole takes on Elrod one-on-one in an 80-rated match. And in his WWE debut, Elrod rolls up Adam Cole in 8 minutes to pick up a debut victory here in WWE. I think Ezekiel won his debut as well, and yeah, so their whole family's full of winners, it seems. Adam Cole scores an 88 and a 75 for Elrod. And Cole's throwing a hissy fit, he's not happy. But Elrod picks up the win here. We then cut to the back. And Adam Pearce is on the phone. And he's like, yep, great. Yeah, great. Sounds great. It is official. We'll go get that signed for next week. Okay, bye. And then two people he walks, like, we can't see who they are, we just hear the door opening, shut. And Pearce sort of looks confused, like, can I help you? And then he walks in, he's like, bonjour, Monsieur Pearce. And Pearce is like, oh, you must be the new guys that are on SmackDown, you must be David Martin, and you must be, oh, no. No. It's David Martin. And Pearce just looks at him more funny. He's like, okay, David Martin, and you must be... He goes, no, David Martin. Ton. And Pearce just goes, and I'm guessing you're not Violet either. And she's like, Violet Martin. Pearce goes, well, however you want to say your names. Like, what brings you to SmackDown? He goes, you see, Monsieur Pearce, there has been a lack of revolutionary WWE superstars from the great nation of France. And Pearce like, yes. Oh, how can I help you? I realized you were French, but I didn't realize you was... Oh, no. I am embracing my true inner Frenchman. That's why David Martin and Violet Martin are here. We have other Francais cousins that are coming to SmackDown, Monsieur Pearce, and they will not come until you respect us and give us the respect that us as a nation deserve. And Pearce like, well, I've got no issues with you here. If you want to just get on with your thing, and we welcome people from all nations. And then he looks at me, he goes, David Martin. And Pierce goes, excellent. David Martin. David Martin. And then they leave, and Pierce is like, what the fuck? So yes, the La French Connection are here. They are a mixture of Fandango and the Max Dupree. And I'm going to be so obnoxious with these pronunciations because, you know I find that funny. But it is former WWE United Kingdom champion Michael Oku has found his inner Frenchman. And he's the talented wrestler that my shitty creative has straddled with a silly manager gimmick. And obviously, Amale is actually French, which is why she's there as his sister. But yes, SmackDown just got a little more touch of the old Francais. Speaking of things I enjoy, I guess that's the only That's the only correlation I could think of between David Martin and the Tribal Chief, because he's strutting through the hallway. Oh, family, I guess. Yeah. He's strutting through the hallway because my Tribal Chief, it's your locker room. He's like, I know where my locker room is, Paul. Open it for me. He's like, oh, let me warn you first, my Tribal Chief. You're not gonna like what you find inside. And he opens the door, and we see Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso laid out, like, shirts ripped, laid up against the wall, bloody, beaten. And Roman sort of like drops the belt on the floor, and Sharky's like, wise man, who did this? And he goes, we're looking into it, my Tribal Chief, the CCTV, we're getting the security guys to look through it right now. And he goes, I don't want to hear it, Paul. How'd you let this happen? He goes, I'm sorry, my Tribal Chief, we didn't let anybody in here apart from family, so... Roman's like, well, somebody else must have got in, and you better get back to me when you get that footage found. Wise man. He goes, yes, my Tribal Chief. And he goes off to the production truck as Roman sort of like inspects the beaten cousin. I think Jacob Fatu is technically his cousin. The beaten cousins on his locker room floor. More segments. Kayla gets into the ring and she says, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest, the first ever and inaugural WWE Women's Liberty Champion, Shotzi Blackheart. She comes out in the tank, pyro goes off, and she shoots some from out of the cannon on her tank, and she gets into the ring and crowd chants, you deserve it. She goes, Kayla, when I was signed here for WWE, a lot of people really didn't. They didn't give me a chance, They labeled me another flash in the pan, and said I would never be anything here in WWE. I probably wouldn't make it 2 years. But I'm officially, in the history books right now. Brandy introduced this championship because the next step in the women's evolution is on. And we got a whole future of great Liberty champions who are going to strive to fight their heart out for this title. But I'm the first to hold it. I'm the name synonymous with this championship for the rest of time. 5 great competitors tried to stop me, but I'm better. I proved that I came out on top. I proved just to be the best. Then William Regal's music hits. He says, I'm sorry to interrupt your formalities here, Shotzi. I mean, congratulations on me and myself back in NXT. Me, myself, and Triple H, we looked at you and women of you as the future, and it's nice to see that we're finally being rewarded on our investment here. And she's like, what, can I help you, Regal? Thanks, but... He says, no, on to more important business. You may recall, if you are a viewer of both WWE products, that on Monday Night Raw, I informed the world that due to, in part, in the new superstar shake-up, that my Blitzkrieg tag team duo of Joseph Connors and Ilja Dragunov were headed over to SmackDown, remaining a part of the Regal Coalition that remains on Monday Night Raw, of course. So I'm spreading my wings out and I'm travelling between both shows. A lot of work on my old body, yes it is, but it's worth it when you've got the absolute best in European wrestling to mentor. And that is why it brings me out here today to introduce you to the SmackDown branch of the Regal Coalition. Out come Joseph Connors and Ilja Dragunov, and they are flanked by former NXT Tag Team Champions, now known as Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed, but they are still the Grizzled Young Veterans, so I just renamed them individually. And Charlie Dempsey, his son. He says, ladies and gentlemen, this is my dear flesh and blood. This here is Charlie Dempsey, and he, once you see him in that ring, you'll tell that he's my son because he's ruthless. He's a technical expert, and he is a future Cruiserweight champion. He's a future United States champion. He's a future WWE champion. And these two right here, well, I'll let them speak for themselves. Rip Fowler gets the mic and he goes, you are... I gotta do my Scouse accent again. Liverpool. You suck. Like, get your... We are grizzled young veterans, soon to be recognised as SmackDown's top tag team. And then they get booed, and Regal stands on the ramp, and Shotzi's like, I mean, this is great and all, but like, this is my time. Well, this has got nothing to do with me. Like, congrats, you've got new clients, and you're all great, and I'm sure you're going to be great talents, just like me, like when Regal plucked me out and built me up in NXT, but why are you even out here? And Regal says, oh, that's where you're so wrong, silly Shotzi, because my, this does concern you. Yes, it does. Because you may go down in history as the first ever women's Liberty champion. But you will also go down in history, Shotzi. Guess what you'll go down in history as? The shortest reigning Liberty champion in history. That's when there's like a commotion from the crowd, because someone's behind Shotzi, and they twat her with a baseball bat, and then they unhood to reveal they are Alba Fire. Boo, I guess. And she like wails on Shotzi with the baseball bat, and then she leaves the ring and joins up with Regal's crew. So, this is the SmackDown branch of the Regal Coalition. You're probably thinking it's very unbalanced. Like, Raw has Walter, Dudley, Pete, and Ridge, and Florence, and this side has Charlie Dempsey, the Grizzled Young Veterans, Joseph Connors, Ilja Dragunov, and Alba Fire. That's by design. Like, SmackDown was, like, back in 2016, they were like, oh, it's the land of opportunity, yada yada, and all that shit. I want the SmackDown portion to be the growth, while all the heavy hitters are on Raw. So, yeah. I guess you could consider this the B branch, but it's all one stable. So, like, this is where the developing rising stars are, while Raw has the heavy hitters, I guess, the already established names on the brand. But yes, Connors, Dragunov, Dempsey, Fowler, Reed, and Alba is the SmackDown Regal Coalition, and Raw is Gunter, Pete Dunne, Dudley Davis, and Ridge Holland. That's quite a big faction, you know. Regal is really... When I said managers were going to start spreading their wings, Regal is the first to prove that. We then cut back to Pierce's office, and he's just typing some stuff up on his computer when he hears a knock on the door. He goes, come in. And then in walks Grace, who's like, Mr. Adam Pearce. And big boos, he comes on the screen, he goes, and Pierce's like, oh god, I was dreading this. Yes, hello, welcome to SmackDown. He goes, right, I know what you're thinking, baby. No, first here on SmackDown, no one for the greatest duo here in WWE, no one for the Miz and Grayson Waller. What's going on, Peace? And then Miz walks in to even louder boos, and he's like, what my friend is saying is, Mr. Pierce, I already feel disrespected on your show. Alexa disrespected me over on Raw, but this is a whole new level, you know? You've got the most must-see WWE superstar in history drafted to your show, and you don't even make a big deal about it. You don't even put him on the show tonight. Pierce's like, well, I guess we're fully booked up. I'm sorry, Miz. Miz is like, you will be sorry. Next week, I demand live microphone time. I'll host Miz TV. I'll find a guest. It won't be that Logan Paul. It won't be KSI. It'll be a guest I find. And that will be the highest rated segment of the show next week, Pierce. I can guarantee you that. Pierce's like, well, sure, it's official. And then Grayson Waller just sort of lingers around like, and I'll be there as well, you know, helping out my buddy, the Miz. Pierce's like, yeah, sure, knock yourself out. So, Miz and Waller I want to try and get everybody that have been shaken up on the show, and this is the only thing I've really had for these two, so yeah. At least now we know they are on SmackDown. Speaking of getting everybody that was shaken up on the show, Naomi and B-Fab are sort of just chilling in Gorilla, like hitting it off. Because I want to show the world that Naomi's on SmackDown. And then Hit Row go out and do a performance ahead of the 4-way tag team match. Okay, I was right with... Yeah, that's what I wanted to check. I was right with South Wales Subculture being the last team. But in 9 minutes and 45 seconds, the winners are the Limit Breakers, Braun Breaker and Keith Lee. It says it's elimination. It's not elimination. I'd probably have one of them pin Drew Gulak for reasons we'll get to at a later point. 72 for Gulak, 77 for Oni, 67 for Ashanti, 44 for Top Dollar, 77 for Webster, 78 for Andrews, 82 for Keith, and then 80 for Braun. So, announced there, next week, Braun Breaker and Keith Lee, the Limit Breakers, will go 2-on-2 with DIY for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Speaking of championships, Kayla is backstage. Please welcome my guest, the new United States Champion, Warden. And he's in a suit. He's got the US title over his shoulder, looking like a Giga Chad. She's like, Warden, you know, you shocked the world by showing up at SummerSlam and, quite frankly, destroying Crypto Corbin and taking that United States Championship. What kind of champion do you plan to be? And Warden says, I'm not going to be a cliche, Kayla. DIY, Kyrie, they've already come out here tonight and said that they're going to be a fighting champion. Whereas, I'm not going to say that. I don't go looking for fights. Fights come and find me. And you can tell just by looking at me that I'm not going to back down from any of them. I am undefeated. I've never been pinned. I've never been submitted since I came to WWE, and SummerSlam was no exception when I pinned Crypto Corbin's shoulders to the mat. 1, 2, 3. To become the new United States Champion. I plan on keeping this for a whole time because I consider myself the fastest rising star, heavyweight superstar here in WWE. And then into frame walks in his suit and sunglasses, Big Ronnie, with MVP Lashley and Bronson Reed behind him. And MVP's like, fastest rising star, you see. Shut your dumb ass up. You're even the fastest rising star here on SmackDown right now, because that goes to my boy right here, the big bull, prime time, Ronnie Hughes. And of course the almighty Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. The Hurt Business is open here on Friday nights. And you know, maybe in another life, I'd like to see you, Warden. I'd like to see you in the Hurt Business. But for now, let this be a warning to War Dawn. You know, whether it be the colossal Bronson Reed, the primetime Ronnie Hughes, or even the almighty Bobby Lashley. If we want that United States Championship and we want your winning streak, we'll take it whenever we can. And one says, that sounds like a challenge, you know. How about me and your primetime boy right here, 1-on-1 for the title next week? MVP says, you're going to regret that. Enjoy your 2-week reign. And then Warden walks off, and Ricochet then walks into frame. And he's like, hey, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt anything here. This is all over, right? This is all cool, you know? And he walks up to Bronson Reed, and he goes, how you holding up, Big Bron? And he's like, I'm doing all right, Trev, yourself? He goes, I get it. I didn't hold a grudge against you. Like, obviously, the Hurt Business, business is booming. I mean, it's not been booming so much recently, but it was booming at the time. That's why our team had to come to an end. But here's to say why we can't, manage the best of both worlds. Why you can't be a Hurt Business advocate with MVP and also reintroduce the world to the Cyclone, the greatest Raw Tag Team Champions of all time. And Bronson's like, you make some good points. And he goes, listen here. You do make some good points, Ricochet. And obviously not going to extend the olive branch out to you to the Be in the Hurt business because, there's a reason why we took Bronson Reed and not you. But if you can show us that you're worthy of getting this team back together, then maybe the colossal Bronson Reed and I will accept your proposal. But until that day, keep dreaming. Adam Cole, he's then having a fit backstage, and he goes, "This is a bullshit. Like, who's even let this happen?" Probably go up to Megan because Kayla's been busy today. It's like, who even lets this happen? Elias, like he's on SmackDown. Yeah, he's in this House of Black. Ooh, Scoop Boogie. I know, right? Then you've got this guy Ezekiel, who's the same guy who claims to be his younger brother, and now you've got this Elrod. How many more of these? Are there any other Squidwards I should know about, Megan? And she's like, no, not as far as I'm aware. She goes, yes, not as far as I'm aware either, but who knows how deep this little rabbit hole goes. It's got to come to an end. And then he sees the House of Black locker room. He's like, now, if you'll excuse me. He knocks on the door, and Alistair comes to the door. Alistair, Brody, and Danny, because obviously Elias isn't there, and the Welshmen just got beat in that 4-way tag match. And he goes, this is going to sound weird, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend and all that, and you want to get to the bottom of this Elias shit, I want to get to the bottom of this Elias shit. So, how about it? The House of Black work for me, baby, and we get to the bottom of this Samson family crisis. And Alistair goes, we don't work with anyone else, thank you. And he goes to leave. He's like, no, but I know you want to solve this. You want your friend back. And I want my sanity back, quite frankly. So, I really think this would be mutually beneficial. And Alistair's like, we'll deal with Elias ourselves when the time comes. And then they leave, and Cole's like, oh, fucking brilliant, Brilliant. Nobody can help me out with this shit. Why did Kevin have to leave? Oh. So, I knew this would be a good, because it's Daniel Bryan, but oh well. We're going to give Bryan a quick rebound after we lost to Lesnar at SummerSlam. And I went, yeah, this would be a good place to, have Escobar debut in his SmackDown debut. Show what he can do in the ring. As a single star, because he's not with the Battle Club anymore. 90 rated match. Daniel Bryan beats him with a yes lock. 94 for Bryan and 80 for Escobar. And yeah, Escobar was also on SmackDown here, and I believe he's the last new shaken up star on the show that I haven't shown. And I believe I tried to fit everybody on SmackDown. I will have to have a look after the show, and there'll be a note on screen right this second if I am wrong, and there is somebody else that's on SmackDown that I didn't feature on tonight's show. But yes, Santos Escobar, he's here on SmackDown. Daniel Bryan beats him in a 90 rated match. And after the match, he's interrupted by Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. And Trick's like, look who it is, Melo. It's that has-been. What up? It's that loser who got beat at SummerSlam, Melo. Goes, yeah, it sure is, Trick. Bryan really stepped up to the beast. He thought he had what it takes. He thought he had that heart, that spirit, that determination. Turns out he doesn't. He missed that shot, Trick. And Trick's like, he sure did miss, Melo. But you know who don't miss? And I was like, me. I don't. I called my shot. Seth Rollins came out. I called my shot. I put him down. And, whatever happened in the main event of night 2, that's none of my business. Winning is my business, Bryan. And quite frankly, apparently it's not yours, because you came back. You fought Roman Reigns. You lost. You fought Brock Lesnar. You lost. When you just can admit that, this generation has passed you by, Bryan. And Bryan grabs the microphone and he's like, you say this right as me and the guy from the younger generation put on a classic, and I beat him. Here's my thing with you, Melo. You're fantastic. You're one of the... When I came back to WWE, one of the people that I wanted to wrestle was you, because I'd seen so much in you, and you will be WWE champion one day, and that's not just because you're carrying a briefcase that entitled you to that shot. You will be WWE champion because you're one of the best, one of the fastest rising stars in this entire business. But what you lack is that respect They have respect for guys like Dolph Ziggler. They have respect for guys like John Morrison. They have respect for, God damn it, even though we did what he did, guys like Seth Rollins. And I don't want to, we all know I'm a very humble guy. And I don't like to big myself up. But hey, some people would say guys like me too. So, here's some advice from a veteran to a rookie. Be more respectful, because look where it got me. I've seen a million kids like you come and go, thinking they're the best wrestlers in this whole world, and while you may have the skills to back it up, if you start getting just a little bit complacent, I'll kick your head off. So, think about your next words, Carmelo. And Trickself looks at him and goes, oh, you could take that, Melo? And he goes, I thought about my next words, Brian. I thought about my next words long, and I thought about them hard. I'm gonna beat you. It may not be next week, it may not be the week after that, it may not be the week after that, but one day, Brian, me and you will get in this ring. And I'm gonna beat you. And it ain't gonna be because of Trick. It ain't gonna be because of my money in the bank. It ain't gonna be because of a foreign object. It's gonna be because I don't miss, and I'm better than you. But until that day, keep farming up wins against, guys beneath me. I'm sure it'll do you a world of good. Tense promo. Carmelo Hayes, I guess, taking a shot at his next target, Daniel Bryan. Speaking of taking shots at their next target, Cora Jade sheepishly walking up to Carvey's locker room. Like, she's really terrified, but she's like, okay, you gotta do this. Like, I don't want to, but I've got to, because Bayley will do that again, Cora, If you don't want Bayley to do that again, you've got to do what she says. And she goes to knock on the door, but she then again hesitates. She's like, oh, but I can't, I like Kyrie. Like, I don't want to do it again. But do you like your own safety more, Cora? I don't know. And then she goes to open the door again, and then Dakota Kai opens the door from the other side and comes out. The door bumps into Cora. And Dakota just looks at her and goes, what? I mean, you snooze, you lose. First come, first serve, honey. And she walks off, and Cora peeks into the locker room, and Kyrie's been beaten up. And Cora's like, well, guess I've got no job to do anymore. That takes us into next week, where we've got some three big matches announced. As you heard, the United States Championship will be on the line, as Warden makes his first defense of the gold, taking on the Hurt Business's Ronnie Hughes. I don't think Ronnie's actually been pinned one-on-one either, so that's actually two undefeated single stars going at it. We then have the SmackDown Tag Team Championships on the line. Johnny Gargano and Ciampa defend against Braun Breaker and Keith Lee, the Limit Breakers. And in his quest to get his friend back in the cult, a new match has been announced. Aleister Black will go one-on-one with Ezekiel. Roman Reigns is here. And he's like, SummerSlam was a great success, wise man. He goes, yes, my tribal chief, Cody Rhodes, he came back to the WWE, was a hero story. One of the greatest, most heartwarming stories of all time. He was being disrespected in the company in his first time round. He left, he made a name for himself, he came back, all in the aim of becoming WWE champion for his late father, the American Dream. I know all about doing things for my family. Cody wanted to provide for his family just like I provide for mine. But there's a difference between being a little boy with dreams of providing for daddy and being daddy and providing for the little boys. And that's why at SummerSlam Cody Rhodes got smashed. Now I know what you're all thinking. Roman, you didn't beat Cody Rhodes by yourself. Well, I'll have you know, he was getting smashed long before any outside interference happened. That just, put the icing on the cake. And I can't speak for other people, but... And he stops, he looks around, he sees the other Bloodline members on here, he goes, well, the other people, can't be around here tonight because someone decided to take advantage of the tribal chief not being on his show. So I showed up and someone took out my bloodline. Paul, you say the cameras still haven't found out who it was? And he goes, yes, my tribal chief, this guy, he came in, he was covered his face up, he had a mask on, and he attacked Jimmy and Jacob and he left them laying. Roman goes, huh. But how did somebody get in if you only let family in, Paul? Because that's what we're trying to work out now.
Burn it down!
Out comes Seth Rollins. He's wearing his suit and he's like, ha 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 ha. He doesn't say anything, he just stands on the ramp, laughing and wearing his obnoxious suit. Just the show goes off the air with the shot of Roman in the ring looking worried up at Seth on the ramp as Seth just obnoxiously laughs at Roman on the stage. '94 rated show, that's good. Okay, SmackDown's finally in the books. I've had this show booked in since basically right after Raw. I just haven't had the time to record it yet. But it's now officially in the books. The show is not yet though, because we do have Heat to get to, where we will see the new Cruiserweight Champion, Rey Mysterio. Velocity kicks off with RJ City in the ring. And he says, on Raw, he got interview time. He got to show the world that he's the new Cruiserweight Champion. But here tonight, the formal introduction of the man, the icon, the legend that will lead Velocity into the new era. Rey Mysterio. Out comes Rey with Dominic, leaving Angie and Aaliyah at home this time. And Rey says, thank you, RJ. It's great to be once again, the Cruiserweight Champion. This title means so much to me. It was the first title that I won here in WWE, and it really helped launch my career. And it's great to be back and representing the Cruiserweight division on a WWE scale again. But my Raw celebration didn't quite go as planned because of Angel Garza. Garza came out and he disrespected my family. He disrespected me and my wife and Dominic, and we're not going to stand for that. And then Garza comes out again, and Dixie's like, oh, honey, this is just what Angel does. Pardon him. He can't help it, He's got his preferences. I'm sure you've got yours, Rey. And this is what he does. And Rey says, well, I don't want you to ruin my big moments by doing this shit. And then Gar's like, hey, come on, I can't help it, Hey, where is your wife today, I left her my number, she can give me a call whenever she wants. And Dominic shoves him and he goes, don't you fucking fuck off, leave my mom alone, you piece of shit. And RJ's like, oh, I see. What a great main event of the first Velocity since the new champion has been crowned. Dominic Mysterio facing off against Angel Garza. We then get a quick segment with William Regal. He says, ladies and gentlemen, this is the same crowd that watched SmackDown. He says, you all saw earlier on tonight, I introduced one of the newest members of the Regal Coalition, my son, my flesh and blood, Charlie Dempsey. Now, Charlie Dempsey, while he, attempts to build on his frame and become, a heavyweight WWE champion, he is currently 201 pound, which means he is, for all intents and purposes, a cruiserweight here in this company. So you're going to watch him destroy another cruiserweight right now as he rises to the top of WWE. And that is Lince Dorado that he faces. Charlie Dempsey beats him by submission with the Regal stretch. 32 for Dempsey, 68 for Lince. And yeah, a big debut win for Charlie Dempsey here on Velocity. We then get a 3-way, or a 6-man tag. The newly reunited Undisputed, Fisher, Riley and Strong, beat a obnoxious Scottish trio known as the Lady Killers. We'll get their backstory at another point, but they are not officially main roster call-ups. They are members of the Velocity roster. They're not assigned to Raw or SmackDown. They're just Velocity standalones for now. We have Zachary Ben-Shahar, which is Noam Dar, Gregor Ferguson, which is Kenny Williams, and Lennox Duncan, who is a Regen. They're all Scottish, and if their stable name didn't give it away, well, you'll find out what they're all about. But, yeah, Bobby Fish pins Lennox Duncan with a moonsault. 73 for Roddy, 94 for Kyle, 55 for Bobby Fish, 34 for Lennox Duncan, 53 for Gregor Ferguson, and a 68 for Zachary Ben-Shahar. And yeah, another 6-man tag happening here on Velocity. And then a 76 rated main event, Garza pins Dominic with the wing clipper. 75 for Garza, 71 for Dominic. And at the end of the show, it gets us a 76. That's fine, it's Velocity. What matters more than that is what you thought of this show, and mainly SmackDown. Big cliffhanger ending to SmackDown this week. We'll have to find out more for that next week, but first, Raw. See you then.